So week one of the 2014 NFL season is gone and in the books, and nobody will mistake me for being Jeffy the Greek based off of my picks from last week. 8-8, ouchies. Not all that surprising because when you're talking about week one, you're guessing based off of off-season expectations, what you maybe saw in the preseason. You're really kind of guessing until you actually get into the regular season to a certain degree. It's kind of hard to pick and kind of hard to know. I'm hoping to do a lot better in week number 2. I don't know how you guys did against me. I'm sure a lot of you probably kicked my ass. But 1 week does not a season make. Unless you're some teams, then it's an indication of one way or another how your season is going to go. So let me give you my picks for week number 2 of the 2014 NFL season. We start off with tonight's Thursday night matchup of the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. And this has all the appearances of a game where the Baltimore Ravens could be so caught up in the Ray Rice distraction that their focus could be shifted away from the football field, and it could lead a lot of people to believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers will go into Baltimore and win this game and start off 2-0 in the AFC North. However, I don't necessarily see it that way. When I see what the Pittsburgh Steelers did this past Sunday against the Cleveland Browns in the first half, they were pretty impressive. The second half, not so much. And I look at what the Ravens did. They lost, sure, to the Bengals in week number 1, but they hung around all game even when they weren't playing all that particularly well and were in a position late to potentially win the game. I think this could be a game where the team kind of rallies around each other and, it kind of galvanizes the locker room at least for 1 week. And I fully expect the Baltimore Ravens to be able to handle business and take care of the Pittsburgh Steelers and win this Thursday night matchup in week number 2. Now let's transition to the Sunday early afternoon games, a full slate of games, obviously. You've got the Miami Dolphins traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills, both coming off of impressive week 1 victories. I happen to think Miami's the better team, even though they are going on the road to Buffalo, and I think Buffalo's defense is a little bit on the underrated side. I think the Miami Dolphins are a better all-around football team, and as a result, I'll pick them to win their matchup. You've got the Falcons traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The Falcons had a nice come-from-behind overtime victory at home in week number 1 over the New Orleans Saints, whereas the Cincinnati Bengals were able to go on the road in week number 1 and win a nice game against their divisional rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. I ultimately think the Cincinnati Bengals are the better team. They're at home. I'm going to take the Bengals to win this one. You've got the Saints traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. I think the Saints, are smarting a little bit from week number 1. Some concerns maybe about their defense, but they're not facing Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons and their weapons in the passing game in week 2 against the Browns, so I'll take the Saints to win on the road. You've got the Cowboys traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans, a tale of two teams, really. The Cowboys really got steamrolled in a lot of ways by the San Francisco 49ers at home in week number 1, whereas the Tennessee Titans went on the road to Arrowhead and pretty much owned and dismantled the Kansas City Chiefs. I expect this to be a good game, a interesting game, and a bit of a close game, and I'm really having trouble figuring out who I think is going to win this matchup, but I think somehow, some way, the Tennessee Titans will find a way to surprise some people and start off the season 2-0. I'll pick the Patriots to go to Minnesota to beat the Vikings. The Vikings were incredibly impressive in week number 1, but the Rams look terrible at the same token. I find it very hard to believe that the Patriots will start off the season 0-2, but again, stranger shit has happened, but I will take the Patriots. I'll take the Cardinals to beat the Giants. I think the Giants are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFC all year long. I'm not huge on the Cardinals just yet, but they did find a way to win at home against the Chargers on Monday night, and I expect them to start off 2-0 here. I'll take the Redskins in a squeaker to beat the Jaguars. I'll take another marquee matchup. I'll take the Detroit Lions to beat the Carolina Panthers. It looks like the Panthers will probably have Cam Newton back in the fold for week number 2. The Panthers defense played very well for 3+ quarters against Tampa Bay in week 1, and the Detroit Lions, by and large, were all around impressive against, yes, a bad Giants team, but they were still impressive in their season debut. They really got it in motion in the second half in terms of playing under control and limiting their mistakes and turnovers, and they really impressed me. And I think the Detroit Lions have a more balanced, more complete team, and I expect them to be able to go to Carolina and handle business. Now, the late Sunday afternoon matchups, I've got Seattle going on the road and beating San Diego. I think the Buccaneers will be able to handle business and beat the Rams at home. I've got Denver probably owning the Kansas City Chiefs in Mile High. And then I've got the Packers beating the Jets to get back in the winning column, if you will. Then you've got Houston traveling to Oakland. I think Oakland is a real contender to get the #1 overall draft pick in the 2015 NFL draft. The Texans, while they weren't great, especially offensively in week #1, I don't view the Raiders as a really big challenge, so I expect them to be able to go on the road and handle business there. Then we get to the Sunday night matchup, and oh God, the Bears are going to start off 0-2. I just cannot envision, even in the most optimistic manner, any way, shape, or form, where the Bears can go on the road, where the 49ers are going to officially be opening their new stadium in the regular season, if you will, and find a way to be able to beat the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers just have too much and so many different facets of the game. The Bears could be limping into this game, a couple of offensive linemen out. Maybe Alshon Jeffrey could be limited. Brandon Marshall could be limited. Jay Cutler is Jay Cutler, and their defense is flat out bad. I expect the San Francisco 49ers to easily handle business, and this could potentially be a blowout. And then we get to the Monday night matchup. You have the Eagles, who were less than impressive in the first half, but found a way to rally to win and win comfortably in week #1 against the Jags, going to Indianapolis to take on Andrew Luck and the Colts, another team that had a tale of two halves in their week 1 matchup. In the first half, they were bad against the Broncos. Their defense couldn't stop Peyton Manning's offense at all, and their own offense really couldn't get much going. But in the second half, the tables really flipped here. I expect this to be a high-scoring affair. I expect it to be a really quality matchup, but I think the Indianapolis Colts will find a way to handle their business and win this game at home, even though I have some reservations about that because over the past couple of years, the Eagles have been a pretty good road team and especially were in 2013. So I don't think in any way, shape, or form that this is going to be a cakewalk for Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. So ultimately, those are my picks. I've got Baltimore, Miami, Cincinnati, New Orleans, Tennessee, New England, Arizona, Washington, Detroit, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Denver, Green Bay, Houston, San Francisco, Indianapolis. You're welcome to go against me. Let's see if I do a little bit better in week #2. It can't get much worse, can it?